Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
It's great to have you on board. Thanks for watching, as always, on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. This is going to be dynamite, as always. 2 full segments now coming up, full half hour. Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, is with us. Fantasy Football World is the new podcast as well. We'll do fantasy first, then we'll do player props coming up in the next segment. Charch, good afternoon. Thanks for the time, buddy. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm in Minnesota to do some state fair radio work through my local station, KFAN. The state fair in Minnesota is bonkers. You guys both know this because you're from this area. It draws 250,000 people a day for the 10, 11 days that it runs. 250,000. You know, if you take a county fair and multiply it by like 50, you've got the scope of this thing. It's located right between Minneapolis and St. Paul, and just, you know, everybody is within radius of it, and just the whole community just pours out into this thing. It is insane. I'm sure you guys have been there, or at least you know of the Minnesota State Fair, because it is just crazy.
No, I've heard it might be the best state fair in the entire country. People have said that before. So let's begin here, right? With the news today out of a state that is adjacent to Minnesota. Josh Jacobs has been formally charged today with 2 misdemeanors stemming from his May arrest. We talked about that to begin the show today. Here's an update charge. If convicted, he faces up to 18 months in prison. That seems a little unlikely. What do you think the NFL is going to do to him? What does that mean this year for his fantasy status?
Well, okay, they're misdemeanors, so I don't think he'll do anything close to the 18 months. As far as I know, I don't think this is his 4th or 5th conviction or anything. And we don't even know how long it'll take the whole process to go through. But it's 2 parts. One of them is the destruction of property. That's on video. They can see him destroying her phone. And then the other is the battery. And, you know, violence against women. The NFL has really changed its stance over the last 10 years. They've been much more aggressive about this. And, you know, add video into it and this thing starts to get hairy. I think there's a real chance that Jacobs ends up losing some time, and it could start in week 1. You know, I wish the NFL would adjudicate this stuff way, way, way faster. I think we all do. I understand you don't want to rush to judgment, but, you know, when you start to get video evidence that, you know, paints a very clear picture of what happened, I think the NFL absolutely could step in. Now, I believe nobody knows for sure what this would look like, but perhaps a 3-game suspension might not be out of the question right now. Dinged up right now, by the way, too. Marshawn Lloyd is the backup. And so if from a fantasy standpoint, this prospect of him eventually losing 2-3 games ends up being, non-trivial. That moves him down a round or 2 from a fantasy standpoint for Josh Jacobs, and it moves Marshawn Lynch up to like round number 12. You could employ a scenario where you buy the dip on Jacobs, and then you go get Marshawn Lynch a round earlier than you think you need him, and just go, you know what, I've got the Packers running back situation, which has always been, you know, one way or another, which has been a very good one to have the last few years. And that's a viable strategy from a fantasy standpoint.
The Raiders got good news with Genty, but it's also between that and the bad offensive line. Where should he go in fantasy drafts?
Yeah, so, you know, right shortly after we did this segment last week, this all went down, right? So Genty goes down in a heap on the practice field, and all we know is that all of a sudden all the players are taking a knee. Turned out to just be an ankle sprain. I need players to be a little more judicious about when they're going to take the knee.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to try to invoke divine intervention, can we have a little more certainty that the issue is bigger than a sprained ankle? I mean, I want to save those bullets for like spinal injuries, torn ACLs.
Yes.
If there's not a cart involved, I think everybody can remain standing. You know, when the cart comes out, that's the point at which I think we take the knee. That's, you know, this is a personal request. This is a sprained ankle. You know, so it caused a panic in Ashton Jay's fantasy value. You know, he turned into a round 10 guy for a couple of days. And then as we slowly got news, we thought it was going to be, you know, first we thought it might be a torn ACL, could be a career. I mean, we don't know. Then we assumed just because of the way people reacted that it would be at a minimum a severely high sprained ankle situation. And now it turns out it might not even be a high sprain at all. It could just be like a high-low sprained ankle or a low-high sprained ankle, and he might be available week number 1. So right now, Ashton Genty, if you want to buy him, it's round 3. That's a big discount of where the healthy Genty was, which was the end of round 1. So you can get him at a discount now. You could tie him to his handcuff, and that's Mike Washington. You can get Mike Washington round 10 right now. So you could go Genty, Washington, and then again have your bases covered and get over a full round discount on Genty, who in all probability is fine by like week 3, no matter what.
Cue up the prayer circle jokes on Twitter. Week 1, when a quarterback takes a really bad roughing the passer penalty, right? A body weight penalty where it's like it should never be even a flag, and like, okay, here we go. Are we going to pray and get down on a knee for this guy? So what do you want to do with, I think the Cleveland Browns roster is actually pretty good, but my God almighty, this is an absolute laughing stock what's going on at the quarterback position. What does this mean for other players on the team that you maybe want to draft?
Yeah, I mean, the Deshaun Watson decision is just, it's awful. This is coming from ownership. This is a Jimmy Haslam call. Nobody with football intelligence is going to do this. This is entirely because Haslam's paying $250 million to his quarterback, and he's going to run this thing out as far as he can. The probability on Watson, by the way, do you guys see this stat? Watson's last 300-yard passing game, 2,090 days ago.
Oh,
how about this? His last 200-yard passing game. I mean, it's just nothing. 200-yard passing game. Didn't play last year. Year before that, he played 7 games, never topped 197 yards. But Watson he does not care about the game football. You watch him. You can tell he doesn't. His preseason has been awful. We were hoping to be a different guy right now, that he would step up in this opportunity. His preseason is unbearably bad. And then to come out and blame the fan base, this thing is so diseased. So they're on the road Jacksonville, on the road Tampa. Browns are going to get hammered in both of those. And then for the home game, they can't possibly trot Deshaun Watson out because he's already crying about the fan base booing him. The fan base is going to boo him in that third game if he's on the field. They'll go to Shedeur Sanders at that point. And as long as he's there, this whole offense is absolutely capped. I mean, the dude was 13 points per game in the 7 games he started last time we saw him, 2024. So we have to get through this experiment with him. And then we got to get to Shedeur Sanders should not be the savior for any team, but he's the savior from the fantasy standpoint because maybe he can get a little something done with the players on this team. I still like, on the balance, Quinshon Judkins. Anytime the ball's not in the hands of the quarterback, it's a good thing for Cleveland. They'll try to establish a power running game for Todd Monken. Now he's not Derrick Henry, but Todd Monken would like to have him in the Derrick Henry role here, another power back. That's the guy who's least affected by this. The young receivers they've got, both of whom I like long-term a lot, Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, they're going to be good in time. They just need good quarterbacking, and that may be 2027.
A Hall of Famer, what's one rule every league should put into place before the start of the season?
During the season, there's only one fair way to distribute free agents, right? So like Christian McCaffrey goes down, and now everybody's going to scramble to get Kalen Black off the waiver system. The only fair way to do it, and still most leagues don't do it this way, is blind bidding. The way it works is every team gets a set amount of fictional dollars, like 1,000 fictional dollars to last them the whole year. And then if you decide you want to put in on Kalen Black, you got to throw down how much money you think Kalen Black's going to go for that you want to bid, blind bid. And that way every team's got a shot at Kalen Black. Right now, most leagues are still using a worst first priority system. The worst team gets the first crack at Kalen Black in this hypothetical scenario, and we're rewarding the worst fantasy owners there are. It's a terrible system, terrible way to go. Get blind bidding into your waiver system. It's fair for everybody.
Totally agree. What about this one? Have you changed your stance at all on banning league-wide votes to either accept or deny trades?
Oh, God, veto. You want to end friendships? Keep the veto rule in your league. It's the worst thing ever. The premise is, Mitch and I make a trade, and Pauly and a bunch of other owners in the league are like, well, I don't like that trade. It's too unbalanced. And then they get to vote to authorize our trade between two consenting owners. It's absurd. The only time there should never be an ownership trade. There should never ownership vote on whether a trade should go through. Never. And the only time that there should ever be a trade that gets rescinded is if somebody can prove there was some other consideration given. Like I slip Mitch $100, he makes a bad trade. We agreed to split the pot at the end of the year, something like that. Otherwise, absolutely no vetoes. It's you will friendships end over this. I'm telling you.
Yeah, sure. Great, good job. Great breakdown. Never thought of it that way. College football is Saturday. NFL season just around the corner. Get your edge with VSiN Pro. And next week, our updated NFL betting guide drops with post-preseason updates, week 1 betting systems, and contest strategies. Sign up today. Instant access to the college football betting guide. Every best bet, every host, every guest, and the real-time betting splits as well. Start for as little as $9.99 or save 50% with the VSiN Pro annual subscription. Head to vsin.com/subscribe now. $9.99. Join the team now. Get there.
Here are some of the topics you're going to get when you listen to Paul Charchian's very popular podcast, again, Fantasy Football World. Reach Around is a segment. Which player do you want to reach around with? Premature speculation and picking out of the stink hole. So,
all right.
More with Paul Charchian next. His best bets for player props in the AFC East as we roll along on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue here with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, new podcast called Fantasy Football World. Paul Charchian with us here on the Progressive Guest Line. One more fantasy note to get into before we dive into your best bets for player props in the AFC East this year. Where are you at overall with future Hall of Famer Derrick Henry this season?
Look, I'm going to take a contrarian stance here. I'm nervous about Derrick Henry based on what we saw last year. And that was not the same Derrick Henry that we had seen in prior seasons. Let's talk through some of the numbers on this and what worries me. So he's age 32. He's entering his 11th season. Is this finally the season where we start to see Derrick Henry's effectiveness wane? Well, I'm going to make a case that we already did. It was last year. He just put up what I noticed right away about Derrick Henry. And actually, you and I, we actually talked about it a couple of times during the season, a little bit in passing, is that he was going down on the first tackler a lot. He had the worst missed tackle rate of his career. His missed tackle rate was just 13%. That's it. Previous 2 years, to give you a comparison on Derrick Henry, prior to that, the 2 seasons before last year, his missed tackle rate was 22 and 24%. It was 13% last year. Derrick Henry was getting tackled by the first guy to hit him, and that is not normal for him. That 13% tackle rate, that ranked him 36th amongst runners that had at least 100 carries last year. 36th. You know, to my eyes, he just didn't look like the same guy. Now, different offense this year. Offensive line might be better, but losing Tyler Lindenbaum is a huge loss. Maybe, I know they had other improvements, but age 32, 11 seasons, time affects everybody eventually. If it can happen to Adrian Peterson, it can happen to Derrick Henry. I'm out on Derrick Henry. I mean, for where he has to get drafted in fantasy, I just feel like the signs in sneaky fashion were there last year. Success rate. Let me give you another one. Success rate. Derrick Henry's success rate dropped to a career low. He ranked among running backs again with at least 100 carries last year. His success rate was 16th. He's behind guys like J.K. Dobbins and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I mean, it's just, they're all uncharted territory for failure rate for Derrick Henry last year. And I don't want to, a year older, I'm not taking Derrick Henry where he's getting drafted or even close to where he's getting drafted right now. I'd rather get out a year too early than a year too late on Derrick Henry. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, legendary player, probably going to the Hall of Fame. He's right on the cusp of Hall of Fame now. Numbers, I'm not rooting against him. I'm not taking chances on this. What do you guys think?
Well, I trust you. I mean,
yeah, I thought there was more there. It was an indictment of Monken. I thought there were more Green Bay Lambeau Field performances if he would be the 30, 35 carry guy he should have been.
it feels like the coaching last year was terrible for Baltimore.
Well, he's still got the vast majority of the work, but, and maybe that changes here too. I mean, maybe not that Justice Hill is great, but maybe they feel like at his age, they need to dial back his reps a little bit to try to extend the lifespan of his career.
Fair enough,
and that
but
would ultimately work against
the
him
guy
as well.
needs the ball in the fourth quarter, especially with the lead.
Well, yeah,
that Sunday night thing against New England was ridiculous. And Monken did it several times.
Absolutely.
Okay, how about some props?
Yep.
AFC East today.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hunter Henry, touchdowns under.
Under 4.5 receiving touchdowns for Hunter Henry. We're doing every team. We're going to hit every team in the preseason. Every team, one futures bet. It's Hunter Henry for New England. Under 4.5 receiving touchdowns for 2 years. Hunter Henry's been the only game in town on short receiving touchdowns. Last year, he spiked up to 7 touchdowns, but the year before he had only had 2. But now he's got massive competition for goal-to-go short touchdowns from A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs. Let's start with A.J. Brown. As you know, A.J. Brown, big-bodied receiver. He can box out defenders. He can out-muscle pretty much anybody. That makes him a great goal line target. Now, the Eagles didn't use A.J. Brown at the goal line very much last year or the year before, because they had the tush push. So they would just tush push all the time, but most normal teams would throw to A.J. Brown. When they did throw to him, it almost always worked. 5 of the last 7 passes to A.J. Brown from inside the 5-yard line were touchdowns. So A.J. Brown is a serious problem for Hunter Henry's touchdown production. And in quiet fashion, so is Romeo Doubs. During Doubs' time in Green Bay, he was the Packers' most targeted player on goal-to-go passes.
Oh,
pass attempts into 8 touchdowns. That is a staggering 73% touchdown conversion rate, something Derrick Henry couldn't even fathom. You could consider, by the way, A.J. Brown's over 7.5 touchdowns. Also, love Romeo Doubs over 4.5 touchdown line. But the safest play is to assume that Hunter Henry's going to get daggered on the easy goal line targets that he had gotten last year when he saw 6 targets from inside the 5. He might not see any this year, or he might see 1 or 2 because of Doubs and A.J. Brown.
Okay, very good. Let's go here. Paul Charchian, our guest, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer on the Progressive Guest Line. The Bills brought in DJ Moore, wide receiver, to be the number 1 option at that position for quarterback Josh Allen. It feels to me like he has a bettable number with his yards this year. It's a low number, is it not?
Yeah, 824. DJ Moore over the 824.5 receiving yards. There's this misconception that Chicago traded DJ Moore because he's not good. But the reality is that Moore became expendable because of great drafting. Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, Colson Loveland. And those guys are all in rookie contracts. And here was Moore with this fat contract. So they shifted the weight of that contract over to Buffalo. And in some ways, Moore going over 825 yards is just this simple. DJ Moore is the best receiver on a Josh Allen-led offense. I mean, we could just end it at that if we wanted to. The last time Allen had a solid number 1 receiver, Stephon Diggs. Diggs went over 1,100 yards every single year with Josh Allen. We only need 825 for DJ Moore, who's walking into that same alpha receiver role that Diggs had, and Diggs was going over 1,100 yards every year, sometimes way over. Moore's competition for receiving yards, very modest. Khalil Shakir, nice player, not an alpha receiver. Keon Coleman totally has not developed and actually put up fewer receiving yards last year than he did as a rookie. And over the last 6 years, Josh Allen averages 4,200 passing yards. For DJ Moore to just go over 825 yards, he only needs 19% of Josh Allen's average passing yardage. And if you don't know if 19% of Josh Allen's passing yardage is a lot or not, last year, 52 different receivers had a 19% share rate or better of his team's yardage, passing yardage. And obviously, DJ Moore is a candidate to be one of 52 that gets 19% or better this year.
All right, you're going to hurt me here. What, Achane under rushing yards, 974.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about it. Achane easily topped this number last year. He had 1,350 rushing yards. But the prior year, playing all 17 games, he only had 900 rushing yards. So he went under 2 years ago. It is very possible that this will be a way worse Dolphins team than anything Achane has experienced in the past. Mike McDaniel may have been keeping this offense together with duct tape and guys. On. Your new lead offensive mind is Bobby Slowick.
No.
Last seen fired from Houston after 2 moribund seasons there. Miami likely to be very bad, and they're certainly in play for Arch Manning next year's draft. But let's talk philosophically for a minute. Running backs are susceptible to environmental effects more than any other position. Bad quarterback play hurts the runner because defense is key on the runner. Bad defenses hurt their own runner because early deficits mean teams can't afford to run the ball much. Bad blocking hurts the runner because the holes don't open. And, of course, the running back position, incredibly susceptible to injury because of all the contact they take. And he was injured in college many times and injured his rookie year significantly. You put all those elemental effects together, all 4 of them could come true this season for Achane, or if any of them do, it could push him under that 975-yard line.
Boy. Okay, let's finish on a high note here. You like Garrett Wilson this year with the Jets?
I do. I actually found an over that I like on the Jets, and that trust me, it was not easy.
Yeah.
Some quick history here. Garrett Wilson's full season receiving totals, and we're going over, by the way, 84.5 receptions. So we need 85 receptions from Garrett Wilson. Here's his full season receiving totals. As a rookie, 83, so basically a push, 95, 101, and then last year he was on pace for 87 receptions before he got hurt. So Garrett Wilson has gotten to or exceeded this over rate in every season, despite the dubious stylings of Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, Brady Cook, Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, and Mike White. Those have been the quarterbacks, along with Aaron Rodgers, that have been throwing him the ball. Those guys make Geno Smith sound pretty damn good. For all we know, Garrett Wilson is secretly the second coming of Jerry Rice. We just don't know because he's been playing with these quarterbacks. There is no competition for passing volume for Garrett Wilson. The other starting receivers are Donnie Mitchell. He's a very low volume receiver, averaging 22 catches a year. Omar Cooper in the slot. No real tight ends help. And that's just Garrett Wilson. He's the only guy there. And yeah, roll all that together. We like the over on Garrett Wilson, 85 receiving.
You're the man. New podcast is called Fantasy Football World. Go check it out today. Thanks, Charch.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll hit the Major League Baseball card coming up tonight here. Good friend of the show, the great Matt Vasgersian, MLB Network, joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Hey, Matt, thanks for the time as always. Great catching up. We do have 5 games to look at tonight, but are you telling us that maybe both of them in the New York area might not get in tonight?
Yeah, it could be 5 that gets pared down to, 4.5, 3.5, or 3. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to finish those games. There's thunderstorms all night in the New York metro area. So Yankees Astros, which was interesting with Garrett Cole, and more interesting still Brewers Mets, because you got the Miz on the mound. Those are dicey. And I don't know if you want to get cute, if your listeners want to get cute, Miz strikeout numbers are always what, 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a night where between the weather and the Brewers' stated goal of giving him a couple of shorter starts and not pushing him once or twice down the stretch. We don't know when those are coming, but Pat Murphy told me himself we're going to do that at some point with him. Maybe tonight's the night when you factor in the weather, and maybe an under on his K total would be. It's hard to advocate for those because he's a beast, but maybe tonight's the night for that.
Yeah, the crazy thing is he could go 4 innings and strike out like 10 guys, and you're going to be in a bunch of pain. However, with that scenario, that's maybe they try to get it in. He goes 2 innings, and here comes more rain. That's it. Under 8.5 is even money, Matt.
8.5. See, they took the numbers a little shorter tonight because every time I look at it, it's 9.5. Wow, it's super tempting. Again, it's Miz, and he's capable of these superhuman things. Like you just said, Mitch, he could punch out the side first, second, third inning, and you're dead on that number. So I don't know. That's a buyer beware. On rain games, I usually just tell people don't even mess with it because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. Are you picking up what people are putting down here with Skubal, that the Dodgers aren't going to sign him and they're going to run him into the ground?
It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. And what a terrible / brilliant move that is from a management standpoint. He wants to win a World Series, so he's going to give you everything you got. And if there's nobody to save him from himself, but I'm sure he's got voices in his ear. He's a Boris guy. They are very clear with guys about protecting their own assets, even to the point of how and where they play defensively. So without getting too deep into the weeds, there was a free agent outfielder a number of years ago that was advised by his agent to play at a certain depth. So the OAA and ultimate zone rating and some of the defensive metrics looked better on his free agent docket than if he was positioned differently. So the agency is going to make sure he's protected. But if the Dodgers wanted to blow him out, he's probably going to be game for it because that kid wants to win a World Series as much as anybody.
Wow. Okay, what do you make of the game tonight? What a pitching matchup, one of the best of the entire year on paper. Yamamoto goes against Sale, and after last night's win by the Braves, they now have the season-long tiebreaker in case it comes down to that for the 2 seed overall. But you can get a little bit of plus money here with Yamamoto first 5 or full game. What do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, Mitch, your guy who's tracking bullpen usage would be on this one. I know for fact, because we had the game last night, that the Braves bullpen is short. There's no way that Didier Fuentes is available tonight. Dodd's probably down. Dylan Lee's probably down. Like, they had a bunch of guys that were working in back-to-back games to win those 2 one-run games from the Dodgers. Remember, these are close to postseason feel games because the Dodgers and Braves are vying for that second-best record in the National League to get the first-round bye and not have to play in the wild card. It's a big deal. And by winning last night, the Braves take a tiebreaker scenario from the Dodgers because they win the season series. These are important games. Dodgers have a 2-game lead over Atlanta for that second spot. The pitching matchup is elite. And if you look at what the Dodgers are doing as a lineup tonight, I was surprised to see Teoscar Hernandez in there. He is really scuffling. And even though he's had some numbers against Chris Sale, it feels like a bad matchup. Freddie's not hitting for power. Kyle Tucker's a mess. You've got Alex Call playing today. Ben Rortvedt is catching. It feels like a strikeout-y lineup that the Dodgers are putting out there, and Sale's usually 7, 8 in there. But he's no more than 6 innings usually. So again, you're talking about a guy who can do it, but that total needs to fly early. Yesterday, Roki Sasaki's total was 4.5, and he had 3 punch outs and looked like he was going to get there. But the blister cost him the rest of the start. He went 3 1/3. So maybe the way to play this is to hang on and wait a little bit because the Braves bullpen is so short tonight. I think both starters are going to be pretty good. And then once those gates swing open, you just don't know what you're going to get, especially from the Atlanta side.
Okay, excellent. The best team in baseball since the middle of June, Boston. And it was the second shortest turnaround to go from under 14 games under 500 to 14 games over 500. And this is scary that they're getting guys back. Are you buying them as a World Series contender?
I don't think the Red Sox are as bad as they were in April and May, and I don't think they're as good as they were in late June, July, and early August. So as a World Series contender, coming out of a American League that's not very impressive, I still can't get there. I know they've played great. I don't mean to take anything away from them, but I still wonder where the 3-run homer is. They match up well. They take advantage of what they do well. They've got a lot of versatile players, but are they better than the Rays? Are they better than the Yankees? The answer for me is no. And Toronto's playing a little bit better now. Kansas City's scaring everybody. That Kansas City-Toronto game tonight's pretty interesting, by the way. Not to take you off the Red Sox subject, but Noah Cameron, ever since he started calling his own pitches a few starts ago, has been a lot better. And Toronto's got one of the worst OPS numbers against left-handed starters in the game. I think they're ranked 29th. I don't know that they punch out a lot against him because he's not a punch-out guy. And it's really hard to do the math on Noah Cameron because he throws 8 pitches legitimately. Baseball Savant even has him throwing an eephus pitch, which, I mean, that's almost comical these days. But he's like Seth Lugo. You can't really do your advanced scouting on him because you don't know what his arsenal is going to be one day to the next. It's real easy with a guy that throws 4 pitches. You can do that math. Hard for Cameron. But I think Kansas City's dangerous right now. And if I had to take a flyer on one side or another, I'd say play the hot hand and Kansas City goes to Toronto and wins.
Yeah.
How's that for answering your Red Sox question?
I was going to ask you about him anyways. I can't believe the out prop. He only's got to go 6 innings tonight. And as you said, he's been awesome since late July.
Yeah, 6 innings is that line of demarcation. It's so much harder to get through 6 now than you think because managers are just so eager to pull the trigger on matchups, and that's what scares you. A leadoff walk, and the guy goes 5+, and there goes your 6-inning prop. So those are tough ones to get around. Maybe it's just easier to play a side on something like that.
Yeah.
Pasquantino's hot. Like the Royals are hot right now.
Hey, Matt, I know it's these guys are pros and they get over stuff like right away, but Roop has an NL high 13 losses on the year. Diamondbacks have won 8 out of 9 against the Giants this year, outscoring them by a score of 56-29. How do they recover from that loss yesterday?
That is, I heard you guys talking about earlier when I was driving around. That is probably the bad beat of the year, right? That's the worst come-from-ahead loss of the season. How it happened emotionally, like that's as bad as it gets. We all thought that it was the Phillies scoring 5 or 6 against the Cardinals in the 9th with 2 out last week. We thought this was worse what happened last night. The pitching is a mess in this matchup. The Diamondbacks are bringing Jose Cabrera back up to spot start. He had a great major league debut, and then he was terrible. He had a really bad start last time around at AAA Reno. You just mentioned Mitch. Landon Roops, he's been solved thoroughly by the Arizona lineup, among others. Arenado's got big numbers against him. So if anything there, it goes over again. But it almost feels like that's a series that, because of the way it started, is just destined to do what it's not supposed to do.
Oh, yeah. Well said. In about a minute left, how do you think the NL MVP plays out? Ohtani is supposed to pitch on Sunday.
Well, he's probably just going to open on Sunday. If they get him lengthened out, and they don't really need to. That's the crazy thing because they've got 7. Robleski threw to live hitters yesterday in Atlanta. He's going to come off soon too. So they've got so many options with that starting staff. They don't really need Ohtani to build up much. But if he does, if he progresses from opener starts to 5-6 inning starts, I think he evens the playing field with PCA, who's become an even bigger favorite in all these markets. Everybody's just looking at WAR. And if you do that, if you're a voter that does that, you're going to vote for PCA. The guys that I talked to were all leaning PCA just because of WAR.
Yeah. Great info. Matt, you're the best. Enjoy the games tonight.
All right, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Great Matt Vasgersian, MLB Network, short card tonight. Thanks to him here on the Progressive Guest Line. Underdogs are 23-9-1 ATS NFL preseason this year. Find out which coach in action is 12-1-1 as a dog.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good hour. Flying by. Paul Charchian so far. Matt Vasgersian last segment. If you missed any of it, you can always go back and listen to the Follow the Money podcast. Football coming up in a second. You have an update here on a baseball game tonight?
Yeah. The line is so long to get into Yankee Stadium, even though it's pouring rain. It is George Costanza bobblehead night. Yankees forever serenity now. And he's got his Yankee jacket on, and he's eating a half-eaten calzone in his hand.
That's the coolest looking bobblehead
Isn't that
ever
something?
been made.
First 18,000 tonight get the Costanza bobblehead.
I would wait for 3 hours for that.
1 day only. Look at that. That is awesome.
I've told you the story before, I think, right? I went to the old Yankee Stadium. The year that they closed it, I had never been, so I told my buddy, I'm like, we got to go, man. We're never going to see, all that history. Let's soak it in. So we bought tickets.
At least go to Monument Park, too. See that?
You're going to love this then.
Okay.
So we bought tickets to a Red Sox series around July 4th. It's pouring rain. We got there 2 hours early. The line was absolutely massive. Don't care, going to wait. Today, Monument Park closed.
Oh.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, and by the way, I don't care what anybody thinks of this opinion. I know I'm right. The old Yankee Stadium was a complete dump. So I haven't been to the new one to compare it.
What was the problem?
Oh, the concourse level, you couldn't see anything.
Decrepit. Oh, the sight lines were bad too?
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Bad?
And I was also,
see.
I wasn't offended. That's the wrong word. It's tough for me to get offended, but I'm there for, this is in the middle of that bitter rivalry.
Yeah, right.
Yankees, Red Sox.
Yeah.
July 4th weekend, let's go Red Sox chants wouldn't stop. I'm like, what? Are we at Fenway or are we at Yankee Stadium?
I thought you'd get assaulted if you wore Red Sox stuff.
No, not that weekend.
To me, Wrigley Field exceeded my expectations.
Oh, tremendous.
I would go every summer. I loved Wrigley Field, and growing up, Harry Carey and a Cubs fan, Sandberg was my favorite ball player. But just when you make the turn, you're in the middle of a neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden you look up and there's the cathedral. But sitting out in left field, and I loved Fenway too.
Me too.
Although the seats, though, it was so uncomfortable. But seeing a doubleheader, Clemens, and going to Fenway a couple times was great too, seeing that cathedral.
And I think we agree on the other one. I think Wrigley and Fenway are off the charts. I think Dodger Stadium's incredible.
Underrated. Underrated.
Yeah.
And they've made a lot of changes to that park too and upgraded it. But between when Scully was there, the Dodger Dogs, and I thought that was a good ballpark.
Me too. Getting out of there,
no,
different story.
That's trouble.
Yep.
No doubt.
Okay, so what are we looking at here tonight? We've got all the numbers for the NFL preseason. I think I'm going to tread lightly. I'm a little tempted to make maybe one bet. That'd be the over here on the Bill Steelers game, but I don't have anything in pocket yet, Pauly. There's nothing wrong with staying away from the final week of the preseason, by the way.
Well, especially how crazy this one's been.
Correct.
If you're looking at a total, I would say the Patriot game. Because who knows what you're going to get out of this pathetic Browns team in offense, and it's just going to be Gabriel and Green, and Gabriel trying to keep his spot on the team, what they're going to do there. And I'm okay with Cutlets, and Morton's been okay for the Patriots, but still, I don't think they're going to do much when Morton's in the game as well. I already referenced the under Saturday night with Seattle and Kansas City. Kansas City can't score anyways. How bad they've been in the preseason, losers of 8 in a row, and it's Milrow the whole way for Seattle. But I feel good about the Raiders, and I know it's been an ugly run, a 1-8 ATS run in the preseason, and the defense in the first half has been awful. But I did like the comeback and getting the money against Houston, down 20-3, and O'Connell was awesome. And again, a veteran and a guy who's made a lot of starts. That's what it's supposed to look like in the second half against the Scrubs. And he was excellent in rallying the win and made the 94-yard drive look so easy. So if it's, a little concerned with Mendoza going early, who had the pick 6 against Houston. But I'm going to get a lot of O'Connell against a San Francisco team that doesn't care and how bad they've looked when it's Martinez and other quarterbacks, although they blew out the Chargers, but it was more about horrible Charger play and turnovers in that game. I'm okay with the Raiders laying 3 tonight at home. And
I'll pay off the tees here real quick.
Sorry, yep.
The Niners, this is Shanahan.
Yeah, great numbers.
11-1-1. Depends on where you grade it. Or 12-1 ATS in the preseason as a dog. Been really good in this spot. I'm not betting games.
I mean, this is just get out of here alive. Just don't get anybody hurt. Run the ball and get ready for the trip because they leave next week for Australia.
Feels like kind of a high total as well.
Okay, maybe.
I think these numbers are fascinating. It's kind of more of like a history lesson overall than be like, okay, I need to get down and make a bet based on that trend. Here's one, for example. Cleveland is 16-3-1 ATS last 20 in the preseason as a dog. Not running to the window to bet them because of that, because of how bad this outfit looks right now.
And it's the opposite. They're horrible numbers for whatever reason when they're at home. Yeah. ATS. It's the starters for Buffalo except Allen. So it's Kyle Allen and Buechele, and they're number 1 in points in the preseason. How about that? Mm-hmm. And it's going to be Howard and Aller the whole way for the Steelers. Which guys do I get? The guys who were great in the second half against Green Bay, or the guys who had to step up and vomited on themselves and get shut out by the Jets, especially Howard, who could be fighting for a job. And I doubt they keep 4 quarterbacks, so Howard probably the odd man out, and I don't mind Buffalo. And this one, it's down to 3 now, and it should be. I don't understand why the Chargers were laying 4. So you have the battle to back up Herbert. Okay, that's fine. But Lance and DJ struggled last week, and Bennett continues to light it up. And what Simpson's done. Here's the number 2 highest scoring team in the preseason, the Rams, and McVay has covered 8 in a row in the preseason. So Rams catching 3 tonight, and it's come down. And, no one's been able to stop them so far in the 2 preseason games.
Sure.
I want the Chargers.
The reason you want the Rams.
Yes, right.
Not the Chargers.
No, yeah, want the Rams. What's the point? It's anti-Chargers too.
This is the one reason why. Now, it's a trend here again. But to your point about the Bills being the highest scoring team so far in the preseason, and I think after last week, it was a complete dud. Steelers didn't score. Banking on it looking a little bit more like it was in week 1 with Aller. Howard was terrible last week, but thinking that the quarterback spot could look better here, Buffalo was on a 16-5-1 overrun in the preseason. Again, not making a bet based on trends, but that tells you a little bit of what it's been like here in 14-3 over preseason in home games as well.
Also, I agree with Adam Burke Saturday morning. The Baltimore defense has been great so far. And they held McCarthy and Wentz to only 3 points in that last game. So, and the kid out of UConn's been awesome. The rookie quarterback. So he's on the Ravens as well against the Commanders and anti-Dan Quinn angle Saturday morning.
We'll be talking a lot about this in the upcoming days. The Rams travel plans for week 1. Remember that report came out? They're going to get there one day before the game.
And it sounded like he walked it back. McVay wanted to keep it in-house after that.
Yeah, this is Michael Duarte. He was on Cashing Out over the weekend. He's with the California Post, updating us on the Rams travel plans for week 1.
And this is something that Sean McVay has learned and changed his approach on over the last 5 years. It was really that 2021 post-COVID season where there wasn't really a lot of fans in attendance that Sean McVay learned from these rules that were in place that sometimes the best way to travel is to just get out there the night before, wake up, play the game, get on a plane after the game, and come back. And he's done that when they've had either travel from West Coast to East Coast in the last few seasons. And even when they've played in London like they did last year, he had his team stay on the East Coast in Baltimore, practice in Baltimore all week, and then fly out Saturday night to London, go to sleep Saturday night London time, wake up Sunday morning, play the game. And if you remember that game last year, they absolutely throttled the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it was 42-10 was the final score, something like that. But that game was over by halftime. So McVay is taking the exact same approach with this game in Melbourne.
Crazy.
Good point. But what happened against Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
That's the ultimate
say,
I told you so.
No, for sure.
Because the opponent's doing the opposite.
Right. But I want to say we were live, obviously, on the air for the Sunday morning tailgate show for that game. Didn't Jacksonville have the ball like in Rams territory the entire game? But
Lawrence was bad.
Yeah, they turned it over. They couldn't turn those drives into points and kind of gave the game away. Not that the Rams weren't going to win without that anyway, but okay.
Maybe he walks it back. Who knows? Because it was interesting after they's like, "What? What are you doing? Are you sure, Sean?" And he's like, "I prefer to keep that stuff in house." So,
it's a little. I mean, double the flight time from there to London.
That's true. Cash in this football season. 3 Circa Sports contest. $30 million in guaranteed prizes. No rake. Circa million. 18 picks. That's against the spread. Circa Survivor. Pick one winner each week. And the big boy, the Grandissimo, $100,000 entry. Enter in Nevada. Play from anywhere. $30 million guaranteed. Get your schedules, big and small. Circasports.com for details. Circasports.com.
We are live in Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. You can always email the show. It's ftm@vsin.com. We're also on X @vsin live, Mitch Moss Radio, and Pauly Howard. This is going to be a lot of fun coming up next. John Jansen's going to be on the program. Take a peek at this guy's resume sometime.
Yeah.
First team All-American at Michigan. Won a national title back in 1997. Current analyst for the Wolverines, the Lions, 10-year NFL vet, does daily radio in Detroit. We'll ask him about the Wolverines and the Lions coming up here on VSiN.